Hello and welcome to the lecture series on power electronics 2. In today's lecture we would be looking into a type of DC to DC converter which can boost as well as buck the available input voltage. So we will take up today a converter called CUK. Actually there is a lot of confusion regarding the correct pronunciation for this word comprising of CUK. So let me clear the confusion regarding its pronunciation. Some people call it CUK converter, some even call it CUK converter, and I have rather heard people even calling it CUK converter. So actually I have given a link in the description box of this video wherein you can go and actually see the exact pronunciation for this converter. It is basically Shuk converter, and named after the professor who developed it, Professor Shuk. And so it is better to call by the name, the right pronunciation for it, rather than calling it by just any other way of calling it. Okay, so this is a Shuk converter, and the feature is that it can buck as well as boost the available input voltage, although it has got the same shortcoming of voltage reversal at the output. Nevertheless, this is a very famous converter, and normally count with the basic three types of DC to DC converters: the buck, boost, and the buck boost. And along with those three, this Shuk converter is also considered to be one of the basic types of DC to DC converter. So let us now study about this converter. So the basic difference in this converter and the other three types of converter is the presence of this capacitor C1 in the circuit. So in the other types of converters, the buck boost and the buck boost, the energy storing and the transferring element is only the inductor. Okay, while in case of Shuk converter we have got inductor as well as a capacitor which is acting as energy storing as well as transferring that stored energy to the output during the course of an interval. So we have got two passive elements which are basically storing and transferring energy from the input side to the output side. So that what make it different from the other three type of DC to DC converters. So this is the circuit. It consists of an inductor, and this is a switch, and we have this capacitor, as I told you, and these inductor and capacitors are basically to smoothen out the voltage and the current ripple respectively, and this is the load that is connected at the output. So let us try to analyze it. So since we have got only a single switch, so definitely there could only be two possible modes of operation. So mode 1 is when switch S is closed. So I have drawn the circuit diagram for the case when S is closed. So when S is closed, I have just shorted it here. Okay, and the diode will not come into picture here because it will be reverse biased in this mode. And the second mode is when the switch is open, that is S is open. So in that case, diode comes into picture and it starts conducting, while this this part, the switch, it is open circuited. Okay, so let us now try to find out the input output voltage relation for this Shuk converter. For that we will be employing the famous volt second balance rule for the inductor, and will apply it for L1 as well as for L2. So let's start by applying it for L1. Okay, So if I try to write, let me write the equation for L1 in the two modes, mode 1 and mode 2. So in mode 1, when S is on, the voltage that will appear across the inductor L1, VL1 will be given by L1 times dIL1 by dt, okay. And moreover, if I try to apply KVL in this loop here in mode 1, so I will get VL1 equal to V in. So you start from any point and just go around the loop, and you will see that this V in and VL1 are equal. So this is equal to V in, and V in is a constant value. So that means dIL1 by dt is equal to V in by L1. So that means the current that is flowing through L1 in mode 1 is linearly increasing. Since V in is positive, L1 is positive, so linearly increasing current here, okay. So that is I have shown it here, the linearly increasing current. This is IL1. So from 0 to the instant dt, the current through the inductor L1 will be linearly increasing. Now in mode 2, or let me write mode 2 here. Let me leave some space for the analysis for L2. So I am writing mode 2 here. So in mode 2, VL2, just you see, sorry, I am talking about VL1. So in this mode, in mode 2, you could see that this S1 is now open. So we can apply the KVL in this loop, okay. So let me write down the equation. So let me start from here and let me go around this loop like this. So we encounter first an inductor. So minus of L1 dIL1 by dt. Then we have this capacitor, again minus of VC1. Let me call this VC1 and capacitor C1. Then we have got this battery. So plus V in is equal to 0, okay. So this is rather VL1, this one, okay. So that implies VL1 will be equal to V in minus VC1, okay. V in minus VC1. So let me just write here 1, let it be called 2. Now let's move to mode 1 again and try to write down the equation for the inductor L1 and L2. Our intention is to find out a relation between the output voltage and the input voltage, and the output voltage here is V0, which is assumed to be constant, and you could see from the three figures it is apparent that V0 is equal to VC2. So VC2 is equal to V0, okay, fine. So let me write down the equation for VL2 in mode 1. So again I can apply the KVL in this loop, okay. Okay, so it doesn't matter what sign convention you are, or rather what polarity and you are showing for the capacitor and the inductor, but you have to keep in mind the sign convention that is adopted for the passive elements. Okay. So that means if you are showing inductor like this and showing polarity like this, then current should enter it. Okay. And similarly, if you are showing a capacitor with polarity this, then current should be marked like this. And then you can apply the conventional the sign convention to obtain KVL. Okay. So I have done the same here in this circuit. Let me apply KVL in the mode 1 for inductor 2. So let me start from this point and let me move like this. Okay. So first C1 is encountered, so minus VC1, and then we have got inductor L2, again minus of VL2, and then we have got the capacitor C2, again minus of VC2 is equal to 0. So from here I can write VL2 is equal to minus VC1 minus VC2, and this is also equal to minus VC1 minus V0, because VC2 and V0 are equal. Okay. Fine. So, now let me write down the KVL equation for mode 2 applied to inductor L2. So again let me write the equation in this case. So it is a bit simple here. Let me start from this point and let me move around this loop. So it is minus VL2 and then minus VC2 is equal to 0. Okay. Or VL2 is equal to minus of VC2 equal to minus of V0. This is 2 VL2. Let me call this as 3 and this as 4. Now let us try to apply the volt second balance for the two cases. Okay. So let me make some space here to write down the volt second balance. Okay. For L1. So for L1, in mode 1 the voltage across L1 is Vin, and this voltage appearing across the inductor for dt time, and then plus then the voltage here is Vin minus Vc1, and it is appearing for 1 minus dt time, and the sum of the two divided by the time t will be equal to 0. So t gets cancelled. So let me remove t from here, these two. If you try to simplify the expression, you will get Vc1. If you simplify it, you will get Vc1 equal to Vc1 by Vin equal to 1 upon 1 minus d. Okay. So Vc1 should be written in terms of V0, so that we get a relation between the input and output voltage. So let me write it down. Okay. So I think we again have to invoke the volt second balance for the second inductor L2. So this is volt second balance for L1. Okay. So let me write now the volt second balance for L2. So the voltage across L2 is this, minus VC1 1 minus V naught times dt plus, then the voltage is minus V naught, so minus V naught times 1 minus d times t is equal to 0. This is the volt second balance for L2 for the two periods, on and off period. So if you simplify it from here, you will get VC1 equal to minus V naught by d, and from this expression, let me call this as 5 and this as 6. So from 5 and 6 we can easily obtain the relation between input and output. So from 5 and 6 we have VO upon Vin equal to minus of d upon 1 minus d. So you could easily see the property of this input output voltage relation. So buck and boost, both operation are possible. The operation is buck for the value of d less than 0.5, as I have shown in a lecture on buck boost converter, wherein we obtained the same expression, and it would be a boost operation if you are having value of d greater than 0.5. And moreover, this minus sign indicates that the output voltage would be negative. That means there is a reversal of the polarity at the output voltage compared to the input voltage. Okay, now let us try to now find out the expressions for the current ripple in the inductor and the voltage ripple in the two capacitors, and then finally we would be discussing about the various waveforms that I have drawn here. Okay, so let me discuss we can discuss the waveforms till here. Okay, so we have got the expressions to discuss the waveform till this VL2. So let's start with the inductor current IL1. IL1, you could see here I have written down the expression for the inductor current L1. It is dIL1 by dt is Vin by L1. So this is the slope Vin by L, and this is positive, and in the negative half we have got dIL1 by dt equals to Vin minus Vc1 by L1. Okay, so let me just again make some space here. I think is visible, so let me make the space here. So you could see here that VL1 is L1 di L1 by dt, and this is equal to Vin minus Vc1. So this is Vin minus Vc1 is Vin by 1 minus d, Vin by 1 minus d, isn't it? So clearly we can see, if I take out Vin from this expression, take it common, so it becomes 1 minus d minus 1 will give you minus d upon 1 minus d. Is it okay? Vn, if I take it out, 1 minus 1 by 1 minus d, so 1 minus d and minus or is there some mistake? Wait, let me check. Okay, so it's okay, it's correct. So VL1 is, you could see here, it is negative. Okay, so that means the current or L dIL by dt, if I bring L1 this side, so again this is a negative quantity, a constant but negative quantity. That means the current would be decreasing linearly. So I have shown it here. Okay. What about the voltage VL1? So in the first case, VL1 was equal to V in. So I have drawn it here. VL1 is V in. In this case, VL1 is equal to V in times minus d by noise, which is a negative value, negative constant value. So I have drawn it here, constant value. I have written it V in minus VC1, which is same as minus V in by, sorry, minus d by dV in by 1 minus d. Okay. And this is rather equal to V0 also, the output voltage. Now let's see the waveform for the current. This is the current. Current through L2. So I have written the expression for voltage here. So VL2 is minus VC1 minus V0. So let us see first the voltage waveform. So minus VC1 minus V0. This is the, where is VL2? This is VL2. So I have drawn with a negative value. Okay. Why? Why it would be negative? So you could see that value of V0, although it is negative, okay, it is negative, and VC1 is positive. So some positive value minus negative value, it could be positive or it could be negative. Let us check whether it is negative or positive. So let me check it here. Okay, let me check it here. So it is minus VC1, and minus VC1 is minus of V in by 1 minus D. I am trying to find out VL2. Okay, so this then minus of V0, and V0 is minus of D by 1 minus D again into V in, isn't it? So this will give me, this becomes plus D. So D minus 1 by 1 minus D times V in. I hope this is visible. Yes. So you could clearly see here that D minus 1, D lies from 0 to 1, isn't it? So that means D minus 1 is a value which is negative. So that means VL2 has to be negative, and that is also a constant value. So that's why I have shown it here, a constant value. What about the value of VL2 in positive cycle? When the switch is open. So for that I had derived it here. So VL2 is minus V0. So I have minus V0 means a positive value again. So minus V0 is positive. I have shown it. Now we can find out the current IL2. So when the voltage is negative, VL2 is negative, that means the current slope has to be negative. Okay. So that means current is linearly decreasing. So I have shown it here, it is linearly decreasing, and when it is positive, current is linearly increasing. Here it is decreasing, here it is increasing. But one thing you must be noting here, that I have shown the current in the negative. Okay, why is it so? So you could see here that this is this is IL2, isn't it? So from here you could see that IL2 is equal to IL2 in all the cases. IL2 is equal to I0. IL2 is I0 plus IC2. Okay. So if I take the average value of the three terms, so this is average of IL2, let me call it capital IL2, is equal to I0 average value I naught will be I naught, and this will become 0. Average value of the capacitor current will become equal to 0 by charge balance law of the capacitance. So that means IL2 is I naught, and I naught itself is negative, because I naught is equal to V naught by R, and V naught is negative, so I naught will be negative, and hence IL2 is negative. That means the average value of the inductor current through the L2 is a negative quantity, that means somewhere here. So that's why I have shown it in the negative half, negative in the second, in the fourth quadrant. Okay, fine. So we have seen the voltages and the and the currents through the inductor L1 and L2. Now we have to see the voltage and current through the capacitor. Okay, so let me show you here itself, and then we will move to the expression for the ripple in the voltage as well as the current. Let's come to IC1 first, the current through the capacitor C1. Okay, so let me erase these things. I might be using some of these terms, but okay, I will use it later. So we are interested in finding out the current IC1. So IC1 from the mode 1, in mode 1, what is IC1? You could see that IC1 is equal to IL2. In mode 2, IC1 is equal to IL1. IC1 equals to IL1. So in mode 1 and in mode 2. Okay. So for IC1, I have drawn equal to IL2. This was IL2. So IC1 is IL2, and then equal to IL1. This is IL1. Fine. The slope will be same for the two cases. What about the voltage? What about VC1? So VC1 we have already calculated. It is V in upon 1 minus D, and this has to be a positive voltage. So that's why I have shown a constant value V in by 1 minus D. For a particular value of D, it will be a constant voltage. What about IC2? So IC2 will be equal to, now you see from here, from this equation, IC2 is I naught, sorry, IL2 minus I naught, and always is always for case 1 and case 2. So IL2 is this one, and you subtract I naught from it, and minus I naught will be a positive quantity. Okay, so that means this curve is going to shift upwards. So that's what I have shown you here. The current IC2 is same waveform as that of IL2, and a constant value, positive constant value of minus I naught added to it. Okay, what about the voltage? VC2 is equal to V naught. So VC2 equal to V naught minus of V in D by 1 minus D. That is also constant. Now let us find out the current ripple. So let's start with delta I L1. This is the current ripple in inductor 1. Okay, we can easily find it from mode 1 equation for IL1. So I have written VL1 is equal to VL1 is equal to V in. Okay, so L d I L1 by dt is equal to V in, and since instantaneous and average value will be same, okay, so this comes, this was L1, so this comes here, and this instantaneous value will be equal to the average value in one cycle, and not one cycle, from 0 to dt. from 0 to dt. The change in inductor current would be, the change is this value minus this value, okay, which is basically delta IL2 divided by the time taken is dt. So you can easily find out delta IL2 from here is equal to dt V in upon L1. Replace V in by expression of containing V naught. You can express it in various ways. Now look at the current ripple in inductor L2. So let me again take mode 2 for it, okay, mode 2 for it. So VL2 is equal to, in mode 2 VL2, you take KVL in this loop. So VL2 will be equal to, just apply KVL. So let me start from this point and move around this. So minus VL2 and again minus VC2 is equal to 0. That means VL2 is equal to minus of VC2, which is also equal to minus of V naught, and VL2 is given by L2 dIL2 by dt, and this is equals to minus V naught. So and this will also be equal to, okay, if I take L2 on the left side, so L2 comes here, and this is also equals to delta IL2 upon L2. So from here you can write down delta IL2 is equal to minus V naught L2 upon sorry, this was not L2, this is 1 minus d times t, the time duration. Second mode duration was 1 minus d times t. So now bring here 1 minus d times t and upon L2. So this is the expression for the inductor ripple in L2, okay. Now let us try to find out the ripple in voltage. So you will say that why would there be a ripple in the capacitor voltage, as I have shown straight lines which are constant. Actually this is with the assumption that output voltage is constant and has not got any ripple, but that's not true. In actual converter there would be some ripple. So if we consider that and try to find out the expression for the ripple in the inductor voltage, the capacitor voltage. So let's start with the C1. So delta VC1 will be given by 1 by C1, and I have to integrate it from